If you've ever looked at carp fishing and thought, this looks complicated, let me stop you right there, because today I'm going to show you a simple, beginner-friendly system to catch carp consistently. And I mean real carp, Cyprinus carpio, the strong, smart, suspicious fish that can make you feel like a legend one day and totally ignored the next. In this video, we're covering 3 big things: where to find carp, the best baits to get bites, and the rigs that turn bites into fish in the net. No fluff, no overcomplicated gear talk, just the stuff that actually helps you catch more carp. First, where do you find carp? Here's the truth. Carp are not randomly scattered around a lake. They move with purpose. They follow food, they follow comfort, and they follow safety. That means carp spend a lot of time around features that give them cover, warmth, and a steady supply of natural food. So your highest percentage areas are places like reed lines and vegetation edges, shallow flats that warm up quickly, the edges of drop-offs where shallow meets deep, muddy or silty bottoms where carp can root around, and any area where you see signs like bubbles, tailing fish, mud clouds, or carp rolling on the surface. A quick beginner tip: don't just stare at the water, scan for movement. Carp often give themselves away. Early morning and late evening are classic times to spot them cruising or rolling, but you can catch them all day if you find the right zone. Another huge clue is wind. In many lakes, wind pushes plankton and natural food into one side of the lake, and carp follow that buffet. So if you have a strong wind blowing into a bank, that can be a great place to start. Now let's talk about the biggest mistake beginners make when choosing a spot. They pick the prettiest place. Carp don't care if it looks pretty. Carp care if it feels safe and if there's food. So instead of the nice view, look for the carp restaurant. Any place that has natural food and regular angler bait going in is a carp hotspot. That includes swim areas where people feed ducks, marinas with bait fish activity, and popular carp pegs on pressured lakes where fish are used to certain baits. Okay, now that you know where to look, let's talk about the baits. Because carp fishing is basically 2 things: putting food where carp will find it, and presenting a hook bait that looks safe enough for them to eat. The good news is, carp can be caught on a lot of baits. The great news is, you only need a few to cover most situations. Let's start with the classic beginner-friendly baits. Number 1, sweet corn. Corn is cheap, bright, and carp love it. You can fish 1 kernel on a hair rig or double corn for a bit more visibility. Number 2, bread. Bread can be deadly, especially in shallow water or when carp are cruising near the surface. You can free-lined bread, float fish it, or use it on a method feeder if the rules allow. Number 3, pellets. Pellets are consistent, easy to use, and match a lot of commercial fishery feeding. And number 4, boilies. Boilies are the carp bait icon. They come in a million flavors, but you don't need to overthink it. Start with something proven like a fish meal or a fruity boilie, and focus more on presentation than magic flavors. Now, which bait is best? Here's the honest answer. The best bait is the one the carp in your water are already confident eating. In a pressured lake, fish may see boilies and pellets constantly, so a simple piece of corn or a small piece of bread can outfish the fancy stuff. In a commercial fishery where fish are raised on pellets, pellets can be unbeatable. So think local. Use what matches the lake and what matches the season. Speaking of season, temperature matters. When the water is cold, carp often eat less and smaller baits can work better. In warmer water, they feed harder and you can use bigger hook baits in more feed. If you're not getting bites, don't always change your rig first. Sometimes you just need to scale your bait down or move to where the fish actually are. Alright, now let's get into rigs. This is where carp fishing gets its reputation for being complicated. But for beginners, I want you to learn 2 main rigs that will catch carp almost anywhere: the method feeder setup and the simple inline lead setup, both using a hair rig. The hair rig is the game changer in carp fishing because it allows the hook to sit naturally while the bait is separated from the hook. hook. Carp suck in the bait, the hook flips, and you get better hookups. Let's start with the method feeder rig because it's beginner gold. Here's how it works. You pack ground bait or a method mix onto the feeder, you place your hook bait right next to it, often pressed into the mix, and when it hits the bottom, it creates a tight little food pile with the hook bait sitting right on top of the dinner plate. Carp move in, start feeding, and your hook bait is right in the danger zone. This is why method feeder fishing is so effective in lakes, ponds, and commercial fisheries. For a basic method feeder setup, you want a method feeder, a short hook link, often around 4 to 6 inches, a hair rig with a size that matches your bait, and a hook size that fits the hook bait. You don't need to go ultra technical. The key is keeping it neat and compact. For hook baits on the method, a single piece of corn, a small wafter, a mini boilie, or a piece of bread can all work. And here's a simple tip. If you're getting quick bites from small fish, go slightly bigger on the hook bait. If you're getting no bites, go smaller and more subtle. Now the second rig, a simple inline lead or running lead setup with a hair rig. This is perfect for natural lakes, bigger waters, and any situation where you want to fish a bit farther out. The idea is simple. Your lead sits on the bottom, your hook bait is presented just off the bottom or on it, and carp can pick it up confidently. This is where boilies, tiger nuts, if legal where you fish, and balanced baits shine. But again, you don't need to be fancy to start. A simple bottom bait boilie on a hair rig catches fish worldwide. Now let's talk about where people mess up with rigs. The number one issue is presentation. Carp are smart. If your rig looks weird, tangled, or unnatural, they will ignore it. So always keep your hook link neat, check your hook point for sharpness, and make sure your bait is presented cleanly. If you're using a method feeder, make sure the feeder mix holds together on the cast, but breaks down on the bottom. If it explodes in the air, bad. If it never breaks down, also bad. You want it to hit the bottom and start releasing smell and particles. Now we need to talk about baiting strategy, because bait without a plan is just feeding fish for free. Beginners usually do one of two mistakes. They use zero bait and expect miracles, or they dump a mountain of bait and wonder why nothing bites. The sweet spot is controlled baiting. With a method feeder, you're already feeding a little pile every cast, which is great. Start with that. Make consistent casts to the same spot, build a dinner table, and let the fish gain confidence. If you're fishing an open water rig, you can throw a small amount of freebies, corn, pellets, chopped boilies around your hook bait. Not too much, just enough to keep fish interested. And here's a major pro tip that changes everything: accuracy. Carp fishing rewards accuracy more than almost any style of fishing. If you can land your rig in the same area repeatedly, you'll catch more carp. Use a clip, pick a landmark, and repeat your cast. Even being off by a few meters can put your hook bait away from the fish, especially if they're feeding on a small spot. Now, let's talk about bite detection and playing the fish. Carp bites can be subtle, especially in cold water or on pressured lakes. If you're using a feeder setup, you might see little taps and then a steady pull. If you're using a running rig, you might get a slow build. The key is not to strike like you're bass fishing. With carp, steady pressure usually sets the hook because the rig is designed to do the work. Keep your drag smooth. Carp make strong runs, especially when they see the net or the bank. Let them run when they need to and guide them away from snags. Landing and fish care matter too. Carp are tough, but they deserve respect. Use a proper landing net, wet your hands before handling them, support the fish properly, and keep the time out of the water short. If you're on a carp venue, use an unhooking mat. It protects the fish and keeps the whole process clean and safe. Alright, common beginner mistakes. Mistake number 1, fishing where there are no carp. Always locate fish first. Mistake number 2, changing rigs every 5 minutes instead of moving to the fish. Mistake number 3, using dull hooks. A sharp hook is a huge deal. Mistake number 4, overbaiting. Feed with control. Mistake number 5, sloppy casting and low accuracy. Carp fishing is a precision game. So here's your quick checklist you can use on any lake. First, locate carp. Look for reeds, warm shallows, drop-off edges, muddy bottoms, bubbles, rolling fish, and windblown banks. Second, pick a simple bait: corn, pellets, bread, or a basic boilie. Third, choose a rig. Method feeder with a short hair rig for tight feeding or an inline lead hair rig for open water. Fourth, cast accurately and be consistent. And fifth, keep your hook sharp and your fish care on point. If you want, I can make a follow-up video on how to build a method mix that doesn't fall off on the cast, how to choose hook sizes for different hook baits, and how to adjust your rigs for clear water versus muddy water. Drop a comment with what country you fish in and what kind of carp water you have. Commercial ponds, big natural lakes, rivers, because carp tactics change a lot depending on the venue. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Tight lines!